it's a one-way street. They'll have to park on the pavement. That stops access for pedestrians. The litter situation in Hetton, since things have reopened, has again become quite serious. Sunday morning in Hetton, it was unbelievable, and it's all takeaway cartons. So that's the highways issue, that's the litter issue. The next thing, and I've just forgotten what it was now, you'll have to just bear with me a second, because I'm really in earnest about this. I don't want another fast food takeaway on the high street. I'm just trying to think what my other issue was. Just bear with us a second. It's what?
He's using a loophole about putting tables in there. That's his loophole.
Well, I had heard that was a possibility. I think the new planning laws have been changed slightly, and if this person puts 2 or 3 tables in, it's not classed as a takeaway. Well, personally, I don't care about that. It's totally unsafe to have that there. I've remembered now. The other issue is that these takeaway outlets don't open till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. So you have a dead unit sitting on the high street of Hetton with roller shutters down and nothing going on. The viability of the centre of Hetton will be compromised if we allow another takeaway to go forward in the centre of Hetton. We need retail to get the footfall up, to stop Hetton from going into the,
into decline,
sliding into, dare I say, Easington Lane. We don't want more takeaways. We need viable retail. So on those 3 points, one, the highways, it's a dangerous situation for a takeaway, because believe you me, people who will come in their cars to collect. There'll be a takeaway van to deliver, and they'll be racing backwards and forwards across the main road. 2, the litter. 3, to me, it's not enhancing the high street whatsoever. So they're my 3 points why it shouldn't go forward.
Thank you, Councillor Waterson. Anything to say, Councillor Heron?
No, I'm quite happy with that.
Okay. Any members of the public want to say anything on that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, Councillor is that Councillor Colson speaking?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if we fill the high street full of takeaway shops, that's going to stop other business to come in. We could need a hardware shop, but Maxwell's is going from Market Street. So we've got to have a viable sort of different selection of shops to bring people into Hetton. And I think it's on a pedestrian crossing as well. And I agree with everything else that's been said. We've got plenty, and that's it.
Thank you, Councillor Colson. Any members of the other members of the public wish to speak? No. If I'd just like to, I could say add something to that. I think the highway safety is a really serious issue.
Yes.
Accessibility outside the Dulai's Fish Bar and around there. You can't get a pram along there. You can't get a wheelchair. You can't get anything. I think pedestrian and highway safety are definitely a must. So, anyone like to propose that we don't support this application?
Yes, I will. I'll propose it.
I'll second it.
I can second that. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Sorry, who's the seconder there?
Yes, I'll propose that.
No, I'll second it.
Right, thank you. Okay, is committee in agreement?
Yes.
Councillor Heron?
Great.
Present. Thank you. Okie dokie. The next one.
Cragdale Gardens.
Yeah, I'm just bringing it up on screen. Yeah, this is a proposal for 86 dwellings at land at Cragdale Gardens by the Gen 2 group. Oh, we've lost Councillor Rowe.
The main one.
We need to wait for the chairman to come back, I think. Oh, you've all changed. Oh, she's
she's
back.
back,
She's
she's
back.
back.
Right. Councillor Rome, we lost you for a moment there. Lost our sound. Councillor Rome, you need your sound back on. I think she's chattering away, but we can't hear her.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yeah.
we've got you now. We had me
Well,
waiting
that
for a
must
moment
have
there.
been a glitch because I didn't touch anything. I was sitting away from the computer. Never mind.
Right. Right. Keep your
Yeah.
distance. Keep your distance from that screen.
Sorry.
I say keep your distance from any buttons on the screen. Okay, we, as I say, just Cragdale Gardens there. Any comments?
I think that,
Comments from anybody on the committee?
Yeah.
Councillor Geddes?
well, I think it's well documented now that there's very few people wanted for many reasons. Again, looking at it, we can't really object to it just because we don't want it. We're going to have to come up with some relevant things, and I'm not being disingenuous to anybody, because you know what the city builders are like, the city planners, they'll just try and push it through. So we've got to look at, you know, things that they would take seriously. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but they've got to have the pushing things through, and unless you can put obstacles in the way, you know, they're just not going to take any notice. So, you know, it's got to be something on the use of the land or highways or traffic or schools. You know, we've got to really seriously sit down and think about this. Everybody's got different things to say, but I'm totally opposed to it, I'll be quite honest with you.
Councillor Waterson, you were next.
Yeah, again, I've had a good look at the local planners. I'm sure a few people here have. And I just noticed that I'm just going to read a little piece out, and it says that the coalfields has been the focus for new housing and housing regeneration over the past 20 years and will remain so within the planned period. However, supporting infrastructure is being increasingly impacted upon and will need significant investment. I've seen none. I've seen none. What I see is traffic backing up at the bottom of North Road, where we've got the traffic lights, coming past a school where children go in, and they're intent on increasing this by building 86 units with a possibility of 2.5 cars per unit. And where are they going to go? Some of them may go over Moseley Top and down into Durham. The majority of them will come straight down to North Road, past a school, and hit the traffic lights. So again, I think highways need to have second thoughts about this development on simply that. That's the first one. The second one is, if anybody's been around the area where they're proposing this development, it's like, it's unbelievable trying to get in and out of that area. And they're intent on putting these further units there. So you're increasing the traffic up there. It just doesn't work out. You know, they're coming back and they're saying it's green space, it's developable. So fair enough. We go for this. This shouldn't go through because of the highways. The infrastructure's not there. The infrastructure simply isn't there, and you just have to go to North Road any time of the day and see what it's like. It's choked, absolutely choked. We haven't got the schools, although I do know there's talk of another some more work's being done on extending one of the schools. I'm not 100% up on that, but we've gone on before about it. Doctors, there's no facilities there. You can't get an appointment as it is. So I'm going to stick with the highways because I think that's the way to get them, because they'll fob you off with everything else, but that's dangerous to increase the traffic on that little country road. It's a little country road coming down from Moseley. So that's why I don't think it should go ahead. I don't think it should go ahead because they're eating into all of our green spaces anyway. But I have a feeling that whatever you put up, whatever objections you put up, they're going to shoot you down. It's simply going to shoot you down because the coalfields is there, and the green belt is there to be raped and pillaged by Sunderland City Council for development. So I'm going on the highways. I don't want them there because of the issue on the highway.
Before we go on to any other members of the committee, could I just tell the committee, in case they aren't aware, and members of the public, that there is a petition out, and I believe one of the members of the public here has a list of all the things on which this petition people are objecting to. I just wonder if perhaps at this point we could suspend the meeting and allow this member of the public to speak.
No, I'm happy with that.
Miss Thomas?
Hello. First of all, can I thank Hetton Town Council for getting me successfully applying for the extension, which enables us as members of the public to do this petition. Without that extension, it would have been very, very difficult. It would have been pushed through quite quickly. So thank you for that. The petition so far has got over 220 people. We aim to get more. The people that we speak to really don't want this. Yes, I agree that it's got to be reasonable and viable objections, and that is hard sometimes to get over. First of all, the land that's been earmarked for development is a very much used and needed green space. And surely if COVID has taught us nothing else, in lockdown, them green spaces became absolutely essential to family life and mental health. Surely that's something that has to be re-looked at post-COVID. Anyway.
Planning.
Yeah, well, yeah. Loss of amenity, as I said, it's been used for over 40 years. The adverse effect on wildlife, has anybody looked into that? Surely that area is teeming with wildlife. Could that be an area to look into? The highway and pedestrian safety on nearby narrow residential roads will severely be compromised. Increased pressure on the infrastructure, school places, GP. Now I was looking at something where they said there was going to be 7 or 9 pupil places generated by these 40 houses. Now that's incorrect information. It's 86 houses. So have they got their ducks in a row? Is the information correct? A decision like this should surely be based on correct information. Policing, although you have to, crime and policing, although you have to give proof. Well, let's be honest, Hetton has had a serious problem and needed extra policing and targeted operations over this last few months. That's evidence enough. Surely that can be put forward. Inadequate parking provisions, using Sunderland City Council's minimum car parking standards. That's only going to make the problem worse. We've seen photographic evidence of what it's like now. Unsustainable development. It doesn't fulfill a social or environmental role as required by the National Planning and Policy Framework. And the adverse impact on highway infrastructure at 4-lane ends, the A19 and A69 junctions, currently already acknowledged as being overcapacitated. Transport, let's be honest, transport's not great in the area. It's infrequent with poor connectivity. So if schools are oversubscribed, if people do need to go to GPs out the area, that's not going to be helpful for them. And this is the big thing I've got, the confidence in the developer. Gen 2 are renowned, and I'm sorry, they're currently maintaining to do the repairs on the houses they already own. That's what they should be made to do that. And Broomhill, they were supposed to pay £80,000 to go to infrastructure in the area, to the parks in the area, and they reneged on that. They were let off with that. And part of it, that parks, while they were not giving the money to this area, there was a park at the end of Deepdale Street that had been locked up in a deplorable state for over 2 years. Where's the confidence in Cmtee for the people of this area? They deserve better. Sorry.
True.
Thank you very much, Ms. Thomas. I think you've covered quite a lot of things there. Is there anybody else on the committee would like to speak before we open it back up to the public who hadn't already spoken?
Can I just raise something that I missed? I would like to know what Cmtee constitute as affordable housing. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, I mean, there's nothing that they're doing that's affordable unless they're going to knock it down to half the market value price. But I've got no faith in them. I've got to say that.
Okay. Anybody else on the committee?
Hello, yes. Hello,
Is that Councillor Deputy, is it?
Reg.
Councillor Deputy, if I may.
You're not on this committee, Reg, I don't think.
Oh, okay, I can say that.
I had a quick look on the last 15 years in Hetton, and they've built nearly 2,000 houses in the area, Hetton, Meason Lane, and then going down to Rayton, North Road. There is not one piece of new road, new infrastructure being put in place in 18 years. There's over 2,000 houses being built, and that's without any more. Obviously some planning's actually fallen by the wayside, but they're going to reapply. Copper Moseley, I think there's 80 houses up there. You know, these Cragdale Gardens, you know, the 80 odd, there's 160, that's 320 cars, 4 times a day. It's easy maths to see that the area cannot take it. The extra children at school, and I think it was correct what the lady said. It was something like 7 extra places will be needed at the schools. Schools are too small now. It's just the whole thing is just ridiculous that they're even contemplating building there. And I think in every capacity that we can, we have to stop this.
Thank you, Councillor Deputy. Councillor Heron, have you anything to say?
Yeah, I was
public?
I mean, I've listened very carefully to everything that's been said, but I've also read the reports as well, and in particular the papers that I've received back from the clerk as regards the full planning application. The basis of this, I mean, I'm a Gen 2 tenant, and I have no problems with getting repairs done, though I have to wait to get them done. What was that remark? What was that remark? Somebody said something there. There is time as well for us to do our own report on this particular site, because if you go through them one by one, the ecology, there isn't any substantial things to oppose the application. The transport, there is justifiable reasons there to get that done. There is, and we've been banging on for this now for about 40 years that I've been involved with. The other items that need also to be looked at is the environmental report on that. We need to be clear as to what we mean by the environmental green spaces and animals and newts and stuff like that are there. But we don't really want to lose a nice green belt within the housing area. And I believe the only way we could do that successfully would be to employ somebody who has a professional qualifications in planning for the community. And the town council can engage one it's going to cost some money, but at least that would give us some tangible engineering objections to get this overturned, because
Could I answer that, Councillor Heron?
we have very little scope on the planning issues, and I believe that we need to get our own assistance in there to get us on the right track, because we're lay people, and if we had a professional in there, that would go a long way.
Could I answer that, Councillor Heron?
Yes, you certainly can, Councillor.
You know, although I think good intentions becoming behind what you're saying, but the last two major planning applications that have come before Hetton Town Council, the committee have got their objections together, and they have also used some of the information, a lot of the information that the city planners have used, and we put our objections in, and we have a team of planners at Sunderland City Council who are supposed to be representing us. And, you know, to say, I mean, you're an ex-city councillor, to say that you have no faith in what they're going to do, basically, I don't think that's, it's not really feasible from the Hetton Town Council point of view, bearing in mind the very small precept we have. There are several other issues which I'd like to mention at a later point, which we've got. There are a lot of holes in this application, and a lot of people have seen those holes, and I think we should perhaps not think about that. It's my suggestion. We don't think about that. I mean, if we are going to employ anybody, or are we going to ask Sunderland City Council to do anything, there's a massive the covenants that are on this land, and the implications of the covenants in that land, in my opinion, would be a far more viable project to get professional information on. But
how do you know there's covenants on, Councillor?
sorry?
How do you know that there's covenants on this land?
How do we know?
Yes.
We've got the title deeds. And we've got the title deeds for the land. We've got there's information. And I think one of the members of the public might like to talk about that, because she's been very instrumental in researching this. So I don't know if nobody else on the committee has got anything else to say. I'd quite like Lindsay Gibson to let the committee know what she's discovered about the title deeds.
That would be great.
Is that okay for the
That would
committee?
be great.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, fine.
can we suspend the standing orders and hear what Ms Gibson's got to say?
Yes.
Are you there, Ms
Hold
Gibson?
on 2 minutes and I'll give her a call, because she seems to have dropped off.
I was going to say she's disappeared from the screen.
All right. Well, I mean, I am familiar with what she's discovered. I mean, I've read the title deeds myself, but there's considerable, as I say, it's Bose Lyon who put the covenants on the land, saying that's not to be built on. And in fact, there is a lady from Ennerdale Street who bought a very small piece of that land, of one of the sites. And we have a copy of a letter dated 6th of February 2018 from Sunderland City Council, telling her that this piece of land is allocated to policy EM16, and the land functions as an amenity open space, and it's protected from development that would have a serious adverse effect on that amenity. And it also states that the site is subject to policy B3, which states that public and private open space should be protected from development on that also. So we've got that as a possible issue for saying we object to this. On top of that, there is, I don't know if any of the committee are aware, if they've looked at the planning application on the Sunderland City Council website, there's also been a letter from CPRE, the 28th of August, a campaign to protect rural England. and that's very, very adamant in giving its reasons why this development should not go ahead. So that's you know, I feel that's I'm very against this for all the reasons that have been listed by Miss Thomas in her petition. The loss of amenity, the access is horrendous in my view. I drove around there yesterday, and narrow roads, and not only do I think the parking is provision that they put in for this development is insufficient. It would actually take away parking from the existing roads and homes there. So that's I think Miss Gibson was going to talk about, because that
I'm back.
my attention. Oh, you're back.
I'm here, yeah. Can I speak or not?
Yes.
I've had to get it on my phone, sorry. Basically, right, I want to please to you on behalf of the residents, we wish to ask Hetton Town Council and Sunderland City Council to decline the application. The first point I would like to raise is, I don't know if any of you are aware, there's actually covenants on the land. I've got title and the copies of the title deeds and the title plan, which really we need somebody to look at from a legal point of view. We believe they've been set to benefit our community. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Yeah, you hear me? Yeah. The second point I'd like to raise is Sunderland Core Strategy and Development states that green spaces will be protected. So what and why has this been changed to allow this planning to get to this stage? There's plenty brownfield land to be built on. So why are they trying to remove our amenity? Who currently don't maintain and the council that don't maintain this land as it is, and by putting more houses on there will have a detrimental effect on the residents that's already currently living in this area. Somebody mentioned about the school numbers. I know Hetton Primary is in the process of getting an extension. Their PAN number will only increase by 10, I've been told by school admissions. So obviously we're still going to be over those numbers for the schools. We have a massive issue with traffic on a morning, backwards and forwards. I mean, there's a survey on there from Sistra, and what we actually feel is, we feel like somebody's actually just looked at previous documentation. It doesn't, from the wording on the document, it doesn't actually look like somebody's actually been out and inspected the area. Names of roads is not correct, facts and figures are not correct. So maybe that is something that could be looked at with the highways issue. And I've got a question. Obviously it is going to have a massive impact on the schools, the roads, etc. There is a document on there from Alan Rowan which states that there's a request being put in based on 7 primary school children and 13 secondary school children, and it's a request for £292,464.56. Who would have to pay that amount of money? Would it be the developer?
Yes, if it's yeah, it would be. The developer would have to pay that. Well, that's what they would promise to pay under the section agreement, whereby they agree to do certain things for the council or pay certain monies.
But we know they can renege on that, Councillor Rowan.
Exactly.
Yeah, oh, I know that. I agree totally. Yeah. Section 106. Sorry, I couldn't think of the number.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, that is a request on there from them. We have spoken to local police. The police are in agreement that there is already, the antisocial behaviour in this area is already extremely high, and they've agreed that putting more houses on the park would have a massive detrimental effect on the area as well, because Cmtee, not just Cmtee, but Cmtee and local landlords don't seem to keep an eye on the tenants, and basically anything seems to go in this area. And as a community, we kind of expect a little bit more. There's several empty houses. If you look around in this area, I've got an extensive list of houses that's empty. We don't need any more social housing in this area. So I just feel like there's a pot of money there where somebody wants to just try and get this pot of money and they don't want to protect our area.
Thank you, Ms. Gibson.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else
Could I
from the
come
public
back?
like to say anything?
It's Bob Aaron. Could I come back, please?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yes,
mean,
please.
I've heard what everything's been said, but at the same time, we still have hundreds of people on the social housing waiting list. You need to consider those
The
as
social
well,
housing councillor Heron.
as well as the fact that there's a lot of empty private houses around. Lots and lots of empty private houses all around the area. Good houses and empty and older properties. And that's the biggest problem that Hetton's got at the moment, is empty private dwellings. Thank you.
I would like to say something, please.
Does that, Mr. Hope, do you want to speak?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's just I'd like to ask the councillors to consider the infrastructure of Hetton as a whole. When I moved here, there was going to be a Hetton bypass. Now, the Hetton bypass was actually going to go through the same area as where they planned to build the houses at that time. And at that time, they said that they couldn't put the road further up Moseley or further down because of the school. So we've seen increased traffic, Moseley Road, North Road, the middle of Hetton. You know, so I'm just sort of looking to the future. It's some ways it's going to have like a Hetton bypass at some stage in the future, because, you know, there's more and more cars using Hetton to get to places like Dalton Park, A1, A19, and they're starting to use Moseley Road to get there.
Yeah, can I come back to you on that? Is that Mrs. Hope I'm speaking to?
It's Rose Smith.
Rose Smith.
Sorry?
Rose Smith.
Miss Smith. Yeah, I think there is mention in one of the documents on the planning portal for this housing application about the Hetton bypass. I haven't looked into it, but it may come up further down the line, but you've got a very valid point there, and I thank you for making it.
Yeah, because it means in the future we're going to have nowhere else to even consider a road in the future.
That's right, yeah. Okay, does anyone else want to say anything from the public?
I fully concur with Rose. I missed that second name, the same as you, Councillor. But certainly that we've been on over 30 years trying to get this bypass done. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Councillor Hopper, as a member of the public.
I've read the title deeds and the covenants that were put on the land. There's a certain spirit at the time when these covenants were put on the land that I don't think people are really appreciating. So Bowes-Lyon, Urban District Council, and the Coal Board, they all are saying that that land should not be built on, and we should not have a loss of amenity. So the spirit of the covenant was to protect the land as a park. So, so I'm sure the clerk, we can get a copy of the deed of the park and the covenant. But it's a real important issue because they're trying to lift these covenants. Now, when that land was sold, it was sold or gifted or transferred with those covenants intact. And they shouldn't be allowed to be removed just because somebody wants to put houses on there for profit. It's got nothing to do with social housing. Nothing at all.
Thank you. Anybody else got anything else to say before we decide what we have a little vote on this, what we're going to do?
Can I have a word?
Yes, Councillor Pearson.
My problem is the school children, because you're going to end up with some accidents before long. I mean, down Moseley Road now, when children are coming out, the cars are all the way down there. Now, if you get more people there, more cars there, and then going onto North Road, where the crossing is, you're going to have a heck of a, you're going to have an accident there before long. My biggest problem is for the school children.
Thank you, Councillor Pearson. Anyone else?
Can I just come in, Councillor Road? Can I come in, Councillor Road?
I can't hear you, sorry.
Can you hear us?
Not very well, no.
Yeah.
One thing that I would like to suggest would be to get the powers that be to attend a meeting, whether it's a Zoom meeting or in the future a meeting. But there's nothing better than getting the general public to voice the concerns to the people that are making these decisions. And I think it's rather uncomfortable for them.
Thank you. Right. Sorry, Ms. Gibson, just before we...
Can I just say, sorry, I was just going to say, I've tried to do that on numerous occasions. We've requested meetings in Gen 2 have failed to actually come out and speak to us. They won't do it. We've tried and tried and tried and they won't do that.
Well, I have seen a document from someone, I can't remember who it was, that Gen 2 said they were going, I think it was dated the 4th of August, saying they were going to have a public consultation. So I think maybe the council could find out if that is actually going to take place. If no one's got anything else to say, I think we should perhaps go to a vote on this and whether or not we're going to support this application or oppose it.
Oppose.
There's one other item, if I could, Chair.
Sorry?
There's another item that we could actually use as well, is the number of houses that's still to be built on the present planning applications that's been accepted.
I'm sorry, could you say that again a bit louder, please, Councillor Horan? I can't hear.
Sorry. Another side that we could object on is the number of houses that's yet to be built on sites that have already been got planning permission in the Hetton area, because there's still a lot to go on North Road and the other sites around Fence House.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've got just so we've got a comprehensive list of objections, including all of those which are in, some of them which are in the petition, and including. There's one other thing that hasn't been mentioned actually, which I thought Ms. Gibson might have mentioned, and that is the flood risk. The flood risk in that area, it was flooded about 20 years ago quite badly with all the water coming down off the golf course. And there is apparently a document which the public haven't been allowed to see unless they're going to pay £25 to see it, about the flood risk. And I would like possibly if we could, council, to get sight of that, or that will be taken to the next planning committee. Sorry, I can't hear. Who's that?
I think it was just echo. Echo. See, I did that twice. Yes, flood risk document. Flood risk document. Okay. So, shall we go to a vote on this and whether or not we're going to oppose or support this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Those in favour of supporting it?
Sorry, can we just have a proposer in a second there, please?
I'll second Councillor Rowan's proposal.
Bear with me a second. Okay, so we have a Councillor Rowan proposed, Councillor Geddes a second, that the committee recommends to Town Council that we oppose the application.
Yeah.
Could I
agree?
Could I abstain?
I agree.
Well, can I make a suggestion? What I'd like to do, if that
Councillor wants to abstain.
Yeah.
Show of hands.
Yeah, I was going to say, can we just go through the members who are present so I can get a view, please? So I'll go through you in the same way as I did at the extraordinary meeting last week, just as you appear on my screen. Give me a second while I make some notes. Just give me a second. There is an echo, isn't it? Right, I'm with you now. Sorry about that. So, Councillor Geddes?
Totally opposed.
Councillor Waterston?
Absolutely opposed.
Councillor Dafty?
Oppose.
Councillor Herron?
I would abstain on the grounds that we do need a professional body to come in and do this planning application. But also that the hundreds of people that's in Hetton waiting of social housing. Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, can I ask, how many social housing units is there on the proposed development, Councillor?
Have we just finished the vote first?
Yeah. Sorry, just on Councillor Herron's comments there. For the purpose of minutes and recommendations, I'm not able to put the full narrative. I think the wider minutes in the discussion that's taking place reflects the views expressed by committee members. But for the purpose of recording a vote, or otherwise, I just need the actual answer. That's okay. That's okay. Councillor Rome, your view?
Opposed.
Okay. Okay, that's carried. What do you think? That's 4 in support of the proposal to oppose it, 1 abstention. Thanks very much.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Can we move on to the next item?
Yes, please.
Sorry, just bear with me. I've got a screen share again.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so that was Cragdale Gardens. The next one was 30 Clearpath Road. Any views?
I have no objection to this.
No objections to that.
No.
Is that unanimous?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. This last one, 12 Summerhouse Farm.
Anyone have any objections?
None.
No.
No, no.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, that concludes this evening's business. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Mr. Clark and everybody.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Clark,
Thank you.
Yes.
shall we liaise on Monday with the wording for the objection letter?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Obviously, what we need to do is put this to full council, the recommendations, and then it'll go to full council on the 21st. And at that stage, we'll be able to put the detail forward in terms of any formal letters to the city council. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for attending.
Thanks now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye all.
Have a nice evening.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good evening.